All right, good afternoon to everybody who is joining me here for the webinar about how to set up and use the client portal in LawPay. This is Scott Clayson. I'm the Director of Marketing here at TimeSolve, and I'm gonna get started here in just another minute or so. I wanna let any stragglers make sure that they get settled in. So settle back. I'll be starting in another minute or so, but I wanted to welcome everyone who has been here on time. I'll be back in about a minute or so. Thanks, everybody. Okay, I think we have just about everybody here at the webinar. So again, welcome, thank you, good afternoon to everybody, and thank you for taking a little bit of time to spend with me to have me talk about how to set up the client portal in TimeSolve. Like I said, my name is Scott Clayson, Director of Marketing here. Everyone is on mute for this webinar, and this is being recorded. So if you do need to step out early for whatever reason, I will be sending a link to everyone who is registered for the webinar so that you can watch the replay at your leisure. Take a break from Tiger King, I guess, as although I think everybody's through Tiger King, aren't they? We do have a question and answer icon you should see at the bottom of your screen where you could ask questions as we go through this. I do ask to maybe try to hold off till the end. Oftentimes when I do these webinars, questions that are asked can often be answered maybe a couple minutes later. So let's try to hold off and do a little bit of Q&A near the end. I promise to answer every question that I can if you have it, and if I don't know the answer, I'll be sure to follow up with our support team and get the answer to you. So that's kind of the housekeeping here. You should all be seeing my screen right now, a familiar screen to you all, and that is the login to your TimeSolve account. So what I first am going to go through, sort of the agenda here, is first talking about the integration with LawPay. I mean, the whole point of this webinar is really to make sure that everyone at TimeSolve is aware of our client portal and our integration with LawPay that allows your clients to pay their invoices through our portal using LawPay as the credit card or ACH/e-check processor to make sure that you're getting paid as fast as possible. And what that means is that literally within minutes of your invoices being sent out, your clients can pay you. Now we don't live in a perfect world, obviously, so we know that people aren't going to necessarily pay as soon as they see that email with an invoice, but it certainly frees up or certainly narrows down, I should say, the time in which you can be getting paid for your invoices. So I'm going to first do it by talking about everything I'm going to show you here is predicated on the fact that you have a LawPay account that you can connect to TimeSolve. So if you do not have a LawPay account and you do need to set one up, you can do that by simply going to lawpay.com/TimeSolve. And let me put that URL in the chat section here of the webinar. So it's just lawpay.com/TimeSolve. And you get to this landing page here, and this is where you can sign up for a LawPay account. I believe they have a couple of days where they do the underwriting and process and do all that good stuff. They are also for the month of April, if you sign up for the month of April, they will give you $100 credit towards your processing fees. So be aware of that. And if you go to this page and use that, this sign up button here, you'll be able to access that special. You actually will see a pop-up here too, I believe, which I got when I first landed on this page. Once you scroll down a little bit, that talks about that $100 processing fee. So lawpay.com/timesolve, you have a LawPay account, that's great. So now, what is the next step? How do we actually get the LawPay talking to TimeSolve? Let's go ahead and log into my TimeSolve account here, which you all I'm hoping are very familiar with. First thing we want to do is create a payment profile that includes LawPay. Now, all of you hopefully are recording payments of your invoices in TimeSolve so you can allocate payments to your invoices and know what invoices are paid and what invoices are not paid. And in doing so, you should have already set up your bank accounts. Actually, no, do you need to, no, you don't necessarily need to do that. So you can set up bank accounts here in TimeSolve. So you go under payments to settings, and you want to go to bank accounts tab. And you can set up two different types of bank accounts in our system, either a trust account or an operating account. And when you do that, I'm going to create a whole new bank account right now. And I'm going to call this our test operating account. It's going to be a operating account, and I'm going to call this, for the webinars, the description, and I'll just give it a bank name. I'm going to call it Bank of America, and it's going to be active. So you can see, set up as many different types of bank accounts as you'd like within TimeSolve. These are just placeholders for information. Obviously, they don't connect to your bank account. Once I have a account set up, then I want to create my payment profile. This is where I'm going to actually be connecting my TimeSolve account to my LawPay account. So I'm going to click on Create Payment Profile. Payment provider is LawPay. That's your only option, is LawPay. Okay. You're going to have your LawPay username and password available to you to connect. So you obviously have to have the account up and running and created. Like I said, I believe there's a couple of day process where they do the underwriting and approve you and so on to get everything set up. So once that all is in place, you come here, LawPay is already pre-populated, and just simply hit the button here that says Connect with LawPay. You click on that, it's going to pop up a window where it's going to ask you to log in with your email and password. As you can see, it did it automatically for me. I have a password insertion thing that inserts passwords, password protector kind of thing. So I'm now hooked up to my LawPay account, and now this is where you will select the merchant account that you want to associate with this specific operating account that I have just created. Now I'm using obviously a dummy account, a demo account for TimeSolve in LawPay, but I'm going to say yes, this is to have money go into my test operating merchant account, and my ACH account is my test account here as well, ACH test account. You'll be choosing your real accounts, and I'm going to hit save. And you can do that as well with your trust accounts. As you can see, I've already set up here a payment profile, and I have my trust accounts. I selected trust merchant account, and I also did the ACH payment here as well. Okay. So now we have those payment profiles in place. So that's first step. We're connected with LawPay now. Third step, you want to make sure that you enable the client portal in TimeSolve. You go under Clients to Settings, and in this general tab where you land on, when you scroll down to the bottom, you will see a category labeled Client Portal, and you want to check the box that says Enable Portal and hit Save. Once you do, then let me show what it looks like right here. When it's, when I don't have it enabled, nothing appears here. So I'm going to enable it, and a bunch of things are going to pop up. So there's a variety of settings you can apply to the client portal, and this is essentially what you want to allow your clients to do in the portal or see in the portal. First, do you want your clients logging in? Do you want a password required, a login required? If you check this box, yes, then they will have to have a username and password that you can assign to them, and I'll show you how to do that. If not checked, then your clients can log into the portal directly from the link that is sent to them via email. Obviously, for security reasons, we would recommend that you turn on the login required for the portal, but just know there is the option to have people access the portal directly from a link in an email. Okay, next, time visibility and expense visibility. You can allow your users to view time entries and expense entries in this portal as well. Actually, you have three options. They don't see anything at all. They can see only entries that have been billed, or you could have them see all entries. So this would be billed and unbilled entries. So things that will be placed on an invoice in the future, time entries that will be placed on an invoice in the future. So they can see essentially the work in progress. I understand that a lot of law firms probably are not super in super in love with that idea, but it may be helpful for you to allow them to see billed entries from the past. And then, of course, same thing with the expenses. Either don't see it at all, see ones that have only been placed on invoices already, or everything. Now we're going to choose which account you want your clients to deposit money into. It's either going to be your operating account or your trust account. I'll show you the trust account stuff in just a little bit. For now, we're just going to leave it as a simple, you want them to pay invoices directly into your operating account. And remember, I had a couple that I set up, operating account and test operating. So you can choose whichever one you have set up here. If you have this box checked, allow use of trust balance when paying invoices, you can check this. It doesn't matter when you've selected operating account. It doesn't matter if this is checked or unchecked. This only comes into play when you've chosen trust account as the way to receive payments. And again, I'll show you how that operates in just a little bit. So we're going to hit save now. So I have the portal turned on. I have the login required for the portal. I want to allow them to see billed time and expense entries, and any money they pay me through the portal is going to go into my operating account that I set up and hooked up to LawPay. Okay, so now we want to determine which of my clients do I want to allow access to? Which of my contacts for my clients do I want to allow access to the portal? So I'm going to go into my clients and matters. And I'm going to find, I have a client, Golden Fig Fine Foods, which, by the way, I don't think anybody, if you do live here in the Twin Cities where I am in Minneapolis, St. Paul, it's on Grand Avenue in St. Paul, great store for specialty food items, just as an aside. But it's just my dummy client that I have set up here, and the matter I'm working on is the lease extension. So I'm going to go in at the client level, and this is a new client that I'm working on, or an existing client, whatever, and I'm going to apply a contact. This will be the contact that will appear on an invoice. I don't have anybody in here yet. So let's create a new contact. So this is going to be Ted Leaf. Office phone is 612-555-1234. Email address, I'm going to have it be my email address because I'll be showing you what the emails look like that you get as somebody using the client portal. The address, let's see, 1234 47th Avenue South, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Oop, I had it there. Minnesota 55406. Now this is where you'll see you have a line, has portal access. Now right now you can't check this box because I've determined I want a portal login. So I need to create a portal login here. So I'm going to click right here, create portal login. Now you will need to generate a login name and a password for this user, Ted Leaf. Okay, and they will have the ability to edit it themselves once they log into a different password, but you initially have to generate a password for them, create a password for them. I would always recommend using an email address as the login name. It just makes life much easier for so many people. Password. Now here's, you need to follow the password rules just like when you created your password for your TimeSolve account. Here's what I would recommend doing. There are tons of password generators out on the internet. Just Google search password generator, and you can create a really complicated password in like 5 seconds. I use Dashlane is the name of the password management tool. You can see that's why this little D here is in all these fields. But one of the things they have is a Chrome extension that I've installed on my Chrome here, and I can quickly generate a password. Now in this case, I don't want to use any weird symbols, so it just randomly created this 20-digit password. So I'm going to copy that password, and I'm going to just paste it in here, and that's the password. Now when I hit save, and then I'm going to come back over here and says yes, they have portal access. Now when I hit save, it's going to generate email and automatically go to text. I'm going to show you what that looks like here, letting him know that he has portal access. Now, if you don't have an invoice to pay or anything like that, then obviously there's not much he's going to be able to see. But this is how you grant access to Ted and allow him to get into the portal. So let me hit save here. Oh, login name is already in use. Please enter some other login name. Oh, that's my login name. That's right. Okay. So let me just I'll do Ted Leaf. By the way, that's my password manager trying to save that password over here in the right-hand corner to Dashlane. Okay, so Ted Leaf is now set up as the main contact for this client, and he has portal access. So in the meantime, I bet I've already received, let me take a look at my email here over on my other screen. Yeah, I already got an email, so it happens that fast, to Ted Leaf. Welcome to Laidlaw & Associates Client Portal. A portal has been created for you with the following login. So it gives him his username and his password. Please click here to log in. Now I'm going to log in over in another browser, my Firefox browser, because if I logged in as Ted Leaf right now, it's going to log me out of my TimeSolve account. So I'm going to just copy that link here. So please click here to log in. I'm going to go into Firefox over here. And I'm going to paste that URL. So this is what Ted Leaf, as your client, is going to see. Welcome to, and this is the logo that I've done it for my demo account, and whatever logo you've uploaded and that you use on your invoices will be seen here. Secure client portal, and here we go. So the username, as we know, was Ted Leaf, and I'm going to come back over here and just copy this password. Paste it into the password field, hit login. Now this is what Ted Leaf is seeing, that it is the name of your firm will be up in the upper left-hand corner. The client name that you have will be here. I could click on my name, Ted Leaf, and this is where I could update my information and change my password if I needed to. This is where I'm going to be seeing invoices that I'm going to pay. And we're going to generate an invoice and show you how it can be paid. This is where I would see those time entries that have been billed, expense entries that would have been billed, and any payment history that I have. So this is what Ted Leaf is seeing in the client portal. Your clients are viewing this right now. So I'm going to go ahead and log out of this right now real quick, go back in here. So now let's just go about, hey, we're going to generate an invoice. We're going to make sure that because Ted Leaf is set up with client portal access, the email he gets with the invoice will have a button for him. So let's see what that looks like. So let me just go and create an invoice here. So we have Golden Fig. Let's say it was 5 hours worth of work, and it was office review for patent approval, whatever the case may be. Okay, so we have, looks like $1,400 worth of work that I need to bill him. So let's go create a draft invoice for just him. So I'm going to invoices to drafts, new draft invoice, and Golden Fig Fine Foods, hit create. Okay, there's my invoice, $14.50. I already have it preset as the invoice delivery method of email. So he's going to be, Ted's going to be getting this email with the invoice attached as a PDF, just like any other invoice that you email, but there's going to be a little wrinkle there when he sees it. So let's go ahead and check the box and send the invoice. Okay, one invoice sent successfully. I can see the invoice just opened up for me because I did send it to printer. So here's the invoice. Here's what it looks like. Fantastic. Let's go over to my email and see how fast it got delivered. I'm doing a quick refresh and there's my invoice. It's already showing up. It's already delivered. So I come over here. I'm using Outlook. Here's the invoice attached as a PDF as normal. Thank you for doing it. This is the narrative that I have, the default narrative for emails. And then I have a button here down below. Please click here to view your invoice. So I'm going to actually right click, copy hyperlink, and go back to Firefox. And again, I'm going to just paste that. Same thing, it's asking me to log in again, Ted Leaf. Let me grab that password. I'm going to paste the password, hitting log in. Now I'm automatically brought to the invoice that was just sent, where I can see lots of information about it here. I can also come over here and I clicked on invoices. Now I can see not just this invoice, but any invoices that have been sent. Now we've only sent one invoice to Golden Fig Fine Foods, but I could select all. I could give a date range. So for clients where you've billed them, month after month for a long period of time, they could come in here and see all of their invoices, including their paid invoices. Even if you just give them, you may have a client that you've had for years, and just today you give them portal access. When they log in for the first time, they will be able to come in here and see all those past invoices that you've ever sent them under this all column. This is, by the way, a really nice way of, I think, reducing, you may get a lot of calls out, well, I accidentally deleted my invoice when you email it to me, or if you mail it, it's lost in the mail, didn't find it. Your clients can always access previously sent invoices through the portal. So in this case, I see, the one unpaid invoice, and it automatically pre-populates what the payment might be. They can do several things then. They can download it here by clicking on this download button. So they'll download it as a PDF if they'd like. Same thing if they click on the invoice number, that's just going to download it as well. If they click on the dollar amount, that'll take them to what we just saw, where they will be able to see a preview of the invoice, and they can walk through it and print it, do whatever they need to do with it, zoom in, zoom out, whatever. They can pay it right here, the invoice total and the total balance if there's a difference. So they could pay it here if they want. They can also download it again. They could come back here and check this box and then pay it. You can see this green pay button, so they could pay multiple invoices here if they'd like. So there's a variety of places where you can actually pay the invoice. So I'm going to go ahead and pay this invoice off. So I'm going to go to pay. And now you have two options. If you take ACH/eCheck and you have that set up in LawPay, that button will appear here. If they're going to pay via a credit card, then you would simply, click which other field you need to click. So they're going to do this, you're not. So you click pay via credit card. Now I have from LawPay a dummy credit card number I can grab here, a pretend number for demonstration purposes only. I'm going to put in that credit card number, the CVV number. It's already, as you notice, pre-populated the billing information with the address that I had entered for him as a client. And then I'm just going to hit submit payment. Payment authorized successfully. There's no more unpaid invoices, as you can see. If I go to all and hit search, it shows me the paid invoice. I can hover over this, and as the client, I'll see that I made that payment. I can go into my payments history and see that it was paid. And I will be getting, as Ted Leaf, a receipt from LawPay. It's not quite as instantaneous as what you just saw when I sent the invoices, but they will get a receipt showing that it was paid. Now back on your end as the firm, the TimeSolve user, wrong screen. I can come over here. I can go to my sent invoices screen here. I see my golden fig fine foods and it already shows the balance is paid. I don't have to do the work of recording a payment and allocating it towards this invoice. So when a payment is made by your client through the portal, it's going to automatically show that this particular invoice is paid off. One question somebody asked, good question, is there a way to add a fee for like a 2% for credit card payments? You could do that before you send it out, yeah. So from the draft invoice area, let me create a new draft invoice real quick. Let's see if I have one I can create here. I think Circle Management will allow me to make one. No, no invoice created. What you would do, let me just, hopefully I have some time entries that I haven't billed yet here. Okay, when you, from the draft invoice screen, to apply like a 2% or whatever, you want to pass on the credit card fee, makes sense. I would come over here to the amount for the draft invoice, click on it. Then under totals here, you could put, let's see if there was a percent. How do we want to do this? Yeah, you're not doing a discount. Oh, I know one way we could do it. You could do it as a, if you have a, like a tax, if you will. This is getting a little, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you could come in here and we have, I'm going under account to settings. We have an we call it an admin fee. You could call it a credit card fee that is here. And then under your time settings here, you could determine that you're going to do an time admin fee of 2%, let's say, and then you could do the same thing for your expenses if you wanted to as well, and add an expense, you know, it's called a tax rate here, but would you call it an admin rate, credit card rate? You can call the label whatever you want, and that's where you could apply that to everything, and I believe, and pass that along to your client. It's a good question. I'll make sure that I have that answer right, and if I don't have it right, I'll follow up in the email that I'm going to send. Okay, let's go back. Oh, somebody asked the question, what about after it's been finalized at the payment level? You mean if you've already sent an invoice and you want to add that 2%? Not sure if there's a way to actually do that here of just all of a sudden have them pay an extra 2% to this, but I will try to find out that answer. Okay. And I am getting somebody mentioned in the chat, they believe LawPay said they could set that up for us. Oh, so that's interesting too. Okay, good to know. These are good questions that I may not, like I said, know all the answers to. Okay, so that's a pretty straightforward way in which your client will receive the invoice, can access the client portal to view the invoice and pay it. Let's talk a little bit about then trust accounting and how you can handle and receive payments. You can have your clients add money to their trust account through the portal if you would like. So here's what you would need to do. Under the clients and settings area, you would need to come down here and say, yeah, I want money to go into a trust account, and hit save. And if you wanted, now, if you, I'm not sure, you know, I'm not the trust accounting expert by any stretch of the imagination. We do have it set in TimeSolve where you can, if you have a trust payment that you've recorded in TimeSolve and they have a trust balance in TimeSolve, you can automatically have an invoice be marked, you know, be paid off from that trust account automatically as soon as you send that draft invoice. So that would kind of take away the need to have people pay the invoices from their trust account. You may not want people to actually do that. But by receiving portal payment invoices in a trust account, let's just do that, and this is the basic thing here, is when, you know, Scott Laidlaw, or excuse me, Ted Leaf goes to log in to his account. If I hit refresh, I wonder if this will automatically turn on again. Nope. Oh, I know why. Let me do this. I want to make sure that I actually create a trust account for Golden Fig Fine Foods lease extension matter. So I'm going to go into the matter itself, and you would do this regardless of whether you're taking payments for your trust in our client portal or not. And I'm going to create a trust account for this client, or excuse me, for this matter. And again, I'm going to take it from my IOLTA that I created. You can call it retainer, you can call it whatever you want. This is where you can set to auto pay the invoice from trust. You could also set it that if your trust account falls below a certain amount of money, it'll be automatically, there'll be a replenishment placed on the invoice to whatever amount you want, but I'm gonna leave that blank for now. So I'm gonna hit save. I'm gonna go ahead here and log just out completely and log back in as Ted Leaf. Let me come over here and grab that password again. Now, if you notice under payments, when I'm in here, you'll see there's a trust deposit link here. So you could direct your clients, if you have this turned on and you want to receive payments to your trust account from them through the portal, you turn that on, you direct them to go into your portal, go under payments to trust deposit, and they could simply record a payment, put in the amount, pay via credit card. This is also a handy thing for if you guys generate retainer invoices, where you could create this retainer invoice, call it whatever you want. Maybe it's your annual maintenance fee, call it, I don't know, call it what you want, annual invoice. And this is going to be for Golden Fig Fine Foods lease extension, give it a number. Retainer amount is, $3,000, let's say. Notice as soon as I selected this client in Matter, because there was a client portal turned on, a contact user turned on for this matter, it popped this up and said send by email, yes, and allow online payment through the client portal. I'm checking both these boxes, yes. So I hit create. So the retainer invoice has now been sent out to Ted Leaf. And here is the retainer invoice with, again, a link to pay your retainer invoice. So I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to, let me log out here. Actually, let me just paste that link. I still am going to have to log in. Yeah. Ted Leaf. Password. I'm logging in as the client now. The caveat here is you're not going to see the actual retainer invoice here listed under invoices in the client portal. And by you, I mean the client's not. But they will see the balance that you created here. It automatically pre-populates the total payment with what you asked in that retainer invoice. So now they can pay it. But if they go under invoices here, they're not going to see under all any of the retainer invoice that I just generated. So just be aware of that. It will be sent to them. It'll be sent to them as a PDF. When they click on that, pay it by PDF, then they can come in here, and they'll see that $3,000. Okay. If you want them to pay the actual invoice via the trust balance, then you would check this box and then hit save. And when you generated an invoice, it would be sent to them. They would log in just like before, but when they go to make a payment, they're really making a payment to trust. Then it would transfer that money from trust into operating account. So let's take a look how that would work. So I have this turned on, trust account, allow use of trust balances when paying invoices. So let's do another invoice. So I'm going to quickly Golden Foods. Let's say that it's 3 hours worth of work, and it was a conference call that went forever, 3 hours. Okay, so let's generate an invoice. Okay, there's invoice, $855. And I'm going to send that invoice. Okay, so in a second here, and there it is here. The invoice has been generated as a PDF. That's great. There, I just got the email with it. There's the email. I'm going to copy that link. Go back over here. Paste it. It's going to take me to the invoice here. That's great. I'm going to see it. I'm going to go ahead and pay it. I'm going to make the payment, $855. Same as before. So everything looks pretty much the same. It's just the payment itself is going to be recorded into as a trust account payment. So I'm going to copy that credit card number, my fake credit card number, submit payment. Okay, so now it's been paid, total balance is 0. When I come over here to payment history, it's going to show me, instead of an actual payment to a credit card, showing that this is actually, the invoice is still marked as paid, but it was a transfer from trust. So to your operating account. So if I come back in, you as a TimeSolve user, you could come over here to payments and trust to take a look at your trust payments. Let's take a look at Golden Fine Foods. And you can see that there was a retainer deposit via LawPay for invoice number 330 for $850, and that transferred for automatic allocation to invoice 330. So you can see the record of like, okay, they made a deposit via LawPay for this invoice, and then the transactions that we're doing a transfer to operating and then allocating the money to the invoice, if that makes sense. Okay, I know there's a series of questions that have come in here. So if we receive payments and set to trust, can they not pay to operating account? Yeah, that's right. How do we have clients pay from both accounts? The way it is set up here with the client portal, it is going to be, if they're making payments, it's either into trust or operating through our portal. They don't get the option to choose which account you set the option for them. They only get one option. Is the way the portal is set up. Okay. Are you able to change the default language on the emails that are sent out with the invoice portal information? Yes, you can. That's a really good question. And you can do that in multiple places. You can do it, first of all, let me step back. If under your clients and settings, in your invoice settings, and hopefully everybody knows this is where you set all your default narratives, including your email message right here. If you want to include different information here based on the fact that they're going to be paying via credit card, then you could do that at the client level, where again, go under Golden Fig Fine Foods, go under invoice settings, and here's the narratives here. Click on edit narratives for this client. So now you can change it. So this will be what the email message is for every invoice that you send for this client. Now, if you have a client that you have different matter, maybe one matter you want to pay via the portal and one matter you don't, you can certainly do it at the matter level. Again, invoice settings as your tab. Here's your invoice narratives, edit the narratives for this matter. The last place and the most granular place you can edit that email message is at the draft level. So when you're looking at your draft invoices, and again, you click on the dollar amount, you can change the narrative for this specific invoice only and modify it right here. In your scenario, I'm assuming most people, if they're going to have their clients pay their invoices through the portal, they're going to have them pay them all the time, in which case you'd want to just update it at the client level and be done with it. Okay, I know I went through a lot of information quickly about how to go about setting this all up. If you do have more questions, please let me know now. You can also always, as hopefully you all know, you can have our support team help you, support@timesolve.com. You can also call them at 1-800-715-1284, and I'm going to put that number in the chat, 1284. You can also schedule a support session with one of our support specialists. You can do that. Let me find the link and I'll include that as well. You can schedule a 30-minute support meeting at this link here that I just entered in the chat. So they would be able to help you with any very specific questions that you might have to make sure this is working properly. Lots of good questions. Any other? And by the way, I should show you, since I now received it, here's the receipt that me as Ted Leaf, the client, received. And this is generated actually by LawPay, as you can see. It's not generated by TimeSolve. It's their auto payment here. So and this TimeSolve obviously would not be, included. This is part of what's set up with LawPay, as with our demo account. And they'll help you get this all set up as well. They're great. They're really great at making sure that you're successful. I really have enjoyed every single person I've worked with at LawPay. Has been super helpful. Really solid company. And like I said, through April 30th, if you sign up with them, you'll get a $100 credit to your processing fees. Their regular cost is fairly low, I think. It's a $20 a month fee, and then they have their, these are the fees I know you'd want to pass on to your clients if you could. And that is a question that I will try to find the answer to. How would you add like a 2% fee to this? I know I'm sure our support people have gotten that question before, and I don't have the perfect answer right now. So I will include that in the email that I send to everybody with the link. All right, I had 45 minutes blocked out for the webinar here, and we're just about there. So does anybody have any other questions about setting up your client portal and how they come through and pay their invoices? Okay. I don't see a few. Oh, I do have. What about syncing payments to Quickbook? Yeah, you would sync payments to Quickbook just like any other payment that you've recorded in TimeSolve. It would be recorded there, and moved over. But you still have to do the sync just like anything else. It's just the fact that the payment will be recorded essentially automatically when the client makes that payment. You will see it here, as I said, and it'll show that your invoice has been paid and so on. And then whenever you sync all your payments over to QuickBooks, it would include that payment. How will we know it's time to sync? Do we get notified of the payment? I don't know as much about how I don't want to speak to best practices about when you should be syncing your payments to QuickBooks. I don't think people do that every single time they record a payment. I think it's kind of like a periodic thing, syncing your payments over into QuickBooks. As far as do you get a notification when a payment has been made, I believe that LawPay will send a notification when there's been a payment made. And I'm trying to look here right now. I think, no, that's the, okay, invoice. So that would be on a LawPay, and you would get a notification, the payment has been made. You'll be able to see it in TimeSolve when you do look at our draft invoices, and you can see, or you just do any sort of search, you can find, who's paid me and who hasn't by looking at the balance here of the invoices, or going under payments and looking at that as well. But I am the last person at TimeSolve to be asking about the QuickBooks sync, to be perfectly honest. So, but again, our support people are wonderful and know QuickBooks inside and out. So hopefully that answers it to the best that I know of. Is it possible to pay more than the invoice amount, throwing a portion of the payment into a retainer situation? I don't know. I don't believe, because you Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. So if you have it set, I'm guessing you might be thinking about this, Kelly, that if you have it set up to receive, let's try it right now. You have a trust account here set up, and you, I'm guessing like if somebody pays more, they're going to receive payment to trust to pay off an invoice, and they pay more than the invoice, it'll pay off the invoice and then dump the rest into the retainer account. So I believe it should. Let's double check that. So I'm going to, again, just create a quick little invoice here. Let's create 6 hours worth of work. Let's create a draft. Okay, I'm going to send that draft off. Now I'm back, there it is, the invoice there as a PDF. So here is this amount here, 1710 that we sent, right? It already just appeared here. So if I want to go ahead and pay that, because I have my trust turned on. So let's go ahead and pay, but the amount is going to be for $3,000, let's say. You're paying more than the amount due. Please reduce the amount or ignore this warning. Okay, we're going to ignore that warning. And let me grab that credit card number. Okay, so in our trust deposits here, there's a balance now of $12.90. So that's the retainer balance. So yes, it did bleed over everything into the retainer account. And if I come back over here and I go back into my client and matters, and I go to lease extension, and I go to my trust account, it'll show me, yes, I have a balance of $12.90. Okay, so yeah, it paid off. Transfer for automatic allocation to invoice 331 of 1710. Here's the balance right here, 2145. Okay, so it looks like it did it. Yeah. Okay. Kind of a random question. My calendar time entry is gone. I had it and then it's not showing now. Is there a setting to get this back on the left corner? I assume you mean this big calendar here. Sometimes if you are in a smaller window, so watch what happens. We're a responsive design at TimeSolve. So as I make my browser window smaller, see how it did away with the calendar, and I have to click on it on the date to view it. I would suspect that if you're on a smaller window screen, that may be what happened. So make sure you have, if you can, extend out your window, your browser window to as wide as you can, and that should solve the problem. Sometimes we've also seen if you're accidentally zoomed in, that can cut off actually, oh, it used to, no, it doesn't do it anymore. It used to cut off some of the days of the week, but it looks like we don't have that issue anymore. So I suspect there is no setting to turn off this calendar or not. So that's usually what the issue is. So, okay, unless we have other questions, I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody go here. It looks like, Anelia, that did solve the problem, so that's good to know. There's a recording of this, as I mentioned. I will send out as soon as it's been processed to everyone who attended here and everyone who registered. And then I will find out the answer to that question about the adding a fee, like a 2% fee that you would pass on to your customers. Otherwise, thank you all very, very much for joining me. Thank you for your good questions. And again, don't hesitate to get a hold of us to help you with not just the client portal, but any questions you might have in getting things done as you all are in this kind of new environment that we're living in. So that's all I have. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week and a great weekend, and we'll hopefully talk to you all soon. Thanks, everybody.